Now before we start this, I want to lay out some ground rules. This list is only on games I myself have played. It's hard to have an opinion on something you've never experienced. Therefore, there will be a lot of missing entries from popular games, i.e. Halo, Legend of Zelda, and so on. Also, only one game per franchise unless I got lazy and made something a tie. We have a small laundry list of honorable mentions I couldn't quite squeeze in. From Resident Evil, there's 4's Broken Butterfly and 5's not Mad Max inspired Hydra Shotgun. Castlevania the Vampire Killer, the Soul Edge from Soul Calibur, God I wanted to include that, and the Ultimate Blade from Final Fantasy VII for how broken it is. Alright, now we can begin. Ever since the idea of this list came into my mind, this was guaranteed a spot, and sadly the series has not produced anything substantial to change my mind since. The supernova from Ratchet Deadlock is pretty ridiculous, and for some good reasons. The starting weapon, the Harbinger, is a satellite laser bombardment that flattens everything in the field, and is canonically stronger than the Rhino, the main ultimate weapon for the franchise. Now, when you get this weapon upgraded to the supernova, not much on the surface changes, but once you cross from level 11 to 100, that good old rainbow effect kicks in. Now look at this. You're firing rainbow lasers from the sky. I don't think this needs much more explaining, honestly. When it comes to entries on this list, there's a few criteria I look for. Usefulness, how many things you can do, damage, aesthetics, bonus effects, the works. The M96 Minoc from Mass Effect 2 isn't the flashiest weapon, but boy does it put holes in people. This was the beginning of my love for weapons that are a little on the slower side, but pack one hell of a punch and use accuracy. Before the DLC missions give you this, I always got gravitated more towards sniper rifles and grenades, but then this weapon happened. It's a semi-auto rifle that has a punch of a sniper rifle and the speed of a pistol. Add some bullet augmentation, land some headshots, and enemies start dropping like flies. I have this thing for weapons that promote accuracy with larger damage loadouts, so this was, and still is, right up my alley. Fighting an Elder Scrolls entry was interesting. My girlfriend swears up and down on the Wabbajack and the Ebony Blade, but I personally prefer the Dawnbreaker from Skyrim. The quest for Meridia has a bit of a barrier of entry, but honestly once you get through it, you're set for the whole game. The vast majority of dungeons in this game have you going underground or in crypts, the majority of which are loaded with Draugr. Here's where the Dawnbreaker shines? God, that was bad. Natively, the sword has some good damage and has fire added to it, and the charge seems to never go down. However, the bonus is something else. You have a % chance of making an enemy Draugr explode, and the resulting shockwave scares all the rest of the undead into bailing the fight. So damage, fear, fire, and reliability. Also, the sword is fucking gorgeous. Special shoutouts to the children for almost taking the spot, but it can't make zombies explode. So, yeah. Well, not that I know of. Oh god, Dead Space. For the two of you watching my Let's Play of it, you'll know I love the guns from this series. Narrowing it down to just one was not easy. The plasma cutter and the line gun are amazing to use, but they're not quite, I don't know, satisfying? So let's shake things up with the Ripper. This is a weapon that requires a little practice to be truly effective, but, you know, this. It's a buzzsaw that literally chews through enemy limbs. Dead Space's unique gameplay mechanic is strategic dismemberment. So when you have a levitating high-speed buzzsaw, you tend to be set for the game. Oh shit, something topical! Not gonna lie, I didn't immediately feel comfortable with putting Overwatch on this list because you select characters rather than weapons, but my favorite hero definitely has the coolest gun in the game. McCree and his peacekeeping revolver definitely belong on this list. I'm a sucker for magnums courtesy of Resident Evil, and this thing is basically a forged Broken Butterfly with infinite ammo. This is also a high skill weapon because headshots nearly guarantee a kill on all enemies. However, McCree himself doesn't have a lot of health, and landing headshots reliably is a whole other game by itself. Still, body shots with Phantom Hammer also brings tanks to their knees. There tends to be a good reason why people don't like fighting McCree one-on-one and why Farrah gets shot out of the sky every 5 seconds. This revolver's accuracy, sheer damage, and reliability is nothing to take lightly, no matter how many nerfs he gets. Oh, also, High Noon, and yeah, that doesn't need to be talked about. Dark Souls has a million weapons, like dozens of standard ones, hundreds if you start infusing them. I almost went with the Moonlight Greatsword for its aesthetics, but I never used it since it requires faith investment, and yeah, that's not happening. No, we're definitely including Artorias' sword. I never actually used the sword prior to Dark Souls 3 because I never played DLC for Souls 1, and I skipped 2 for obvious reasons. However, you can cultivate the Wolf Knight Greatsword as soon as you take down the first Lords of Cinder, the Abyss Watchers. Once you're there, you pretty much have one of the best and most iconic swords in the franchise. For a start, this sword is pretty fucking beautiful. This is a weapon that has history going back thousands of years, and the corruption that took its owner shines through. The weapon art is flashy as hell and very good on wake-up situations. If you're more of a strength build, you'll be in luck because it scales with strength more than dex. The normal swings are wide and the crowd control is fantastic. Lastly, it scores 20% bonus damage on Abyss enemies, and at times that will be a lifesaver. Honestly, I feel pretty bad for never using the sword prior to 3. The lore behind it and its master is beautiful, and it's just so much fun to use. Farron Greatsword, your weapon art is alright, but hats off to the man who defined this sword's legacy. I could give you a master's thesis on why Doom's weapons are some of the best in video game history, but I'll save you some time. Doom wouldn't have the legacy it does were it not for its weapons. Having played the original, Doom 3, and the rebooted masterpiece Doom, there was way more than enough options. However, the 2 staples I go for are the BFG and the Super Shotgun. For you Doom vets, you know why I chose these, but I'll elaborate. A few years ago, when I played Resident Evil 4 first time, the standard shotgun carried me for most of the main game. It decimated foes and the bang noise was legendary. From then on, I always loved me a good shotgun. So now I finally played Doom 3, and after admiring the standard shotgun, I upgraded to the Super Shotgun Resurrection of Evil, and nothing was the same. Then the BFG happened, and that's all I need to say. Even when I was a teenager years away from getting to experience Doom, the BFG was always a weapon I admired. The damage, the range, the utility, the legacy, yet the Super Shotgun is always my go-to in the newer reboot. That's kinda why this one's a tie. One is the legacy and meme of the Doom series, the other is a cannon that shreds holds and demons. Take your pick. When I started playing this list 7 years ago, yeah, it's been that long, I knew Death's Scythe from Dante's Inferno had to be an automatic inclusion. For a game that's a blatant spin on God of War, it does a damn good job of standing out from the clones. Death's Scythe is one such reason. I mentioned before that I love a weapon with utility to it. Well, this thing is basically 5 weapons in one. The standard scythe, of course, a whip, a spear, an arm-mounted sword, a grappling hook. This thing is like a Swiss Army knife, and I bet I could also turn it into one. Since I've played this, I have gone through the God of War trilogy, but I can never bring myself to love the Blaze of Chaos as much as Death's Scythe. Maybe time will change that, but this weapon is why I've always loved me a good scythe. And yet again, Devil May Cry is at the top of my lists. Neither you or I should be surprised about this. The controls in these games are spot on, which just makes them all the better. So, Devil May Cry, which one is it? Rebellion, Cerberus, Pandora, Lucifer, Beowulf Gauntlets. Have you ever noticed how there's been no katanas on this list? They're among my favorite weapons in any game, but there haven't been any here yet. Well, this is the reason. Yamato is just that goddamn good. It's not quite able to transform into a million weapons, but the stuff it can do, it does pretty well. Judgment Cup for projectiles, devastating slashes that require dexterity and timing, some of the most fun air combos through jump cancelling, and I got a damn screen nuke with DMC4. If this wasn't enough by itself, it also gives Nero his own devil trigger. Then there's the buffs to Rapid Slash and 4, the focus system Virgil got, Dante's own moveset when using it. This weapon's pretty diverse and pretty fucking beefy. Then there's the lore, the aesthetics, the chunky sounds it has, the raw damage. Okay, I'm done. Let's just move on to number 1. You know, originally Yamato was gonna be number 1, but things kinda changed once I started writing this script out. So we're Metroid, and for a weapon you'd automatically assume it'd be a beam or type of missile, right? Well, there's a plasma beam, the annihilator beam, the phazon beam, the fusion missiles, the hyper beam. You can see why I had trouble narrowing it down. However, when you step back and take a look at it, these aren't really weapons at all. They're technically a type of ammo, and then I realized, hey, isn't the arm cannon itself just one big weapon? So yeah, the entire arm cannon that resides on Samus's suit is going to list. And at number 1. Throughout this list, I've put weapons on here I personally liked for its legacy value, potential damage, versatility, and how fun it is. Well, the arm cannon's got the versatility down in spades. It absolutely shreds enemies to bits with certain beams like the phazon beam or the hyper beam. It's been with Samus and the player ever since day 1, and aesthetically it's changed over the years but kept its core idea intact. I've legit fantasized about having her arm cannon since I was a kid, but I think a lot of people have before. No matter the game and no matter the scenario, there's a good chance the arm cannon will blast some size hole through a wall. Hey, so that was the list, right? I've seriously thought about making this since 2010, I'm not joking. And seeing as I haven't played a lot of games that you may have expected, and this was my opinion, what are your favorite weapons? Maybe I can be talked into playing some games like the BFG did for me in the past. I know Halo has been cool as shit, and Mega Man has his own arm cannon, so share with me your opinion. Also, don't forget to stick around for various Let's Plays I do, and more countdowns in the future. Now, enjoy the sweet sound of me not talking until the end of the video.